Hi everyone, my name is Shimona, the Kabbalah coach, and my guest today is a dear family friend, kind of surrogate nephew, Shalom Goodman. We just did a lengthy interview, but I figured we'd do a Cliff Notes version of an article that he just wrote. So firstly, Shalom, thank you so much for being on the call with us today.
Sure, and it is a great honor to join you and to share perhaps some of my experience and how I have been working immensely on improving my speech, and even if I sound a bit slow and exaggerated in how I'm speaking, I promise everyone who's hearing this, you would rather hear me even sound like this compared to my old way of speaking, which I'll give a small demonstration of when the time is right, when it comes in the interview.
Okay, great. So actually, before we started, you said to me the old me would be freaked out right now.
Right. And I mean, it's hard to speak with almost anyone, even if I'm close with them, and imagine how scary it would be to just go and record my voice and speaking and share it with the internet while having a severe speech problem. The old me, the one which did not work immensely on my speech, would be freaked out and speechless. I mean, me being someone who, to explain just how severe I am, it takes for sure over a half a minute at times to say my name, or I have a niece who I'm close with, who's 3, which being that age, she says whatever comes to her head. So I was just speaking with her a few months ago, and she was like, "Shalom, you speak funny." and although it was so cute, it was hurtful. I mean, and I know it's coming from a pure place, but that almost encouraged me to continue to work on my speech.
Fabulous. Thank you, Shirley. So you wrote this article for me, for the non-readers in my community, and also because I think that in conversation we get something different from what we do with the written. Right. You shared 3 things that you have learned from your challenge. So I just want to give a little backdrop for people listening into our conversation. In the method, my coaching program, one of the things we speak about is a growth opportunity, that everything that happens is happening, of course, for a reason. There's a teaching in the Talmud, that God doesn't come with unreasonable demands of his creatures. And so whatever we are given is there as an opportunity for us to grow from. And Charlie, I, in that spirit, asked you to speak about the growth opportunity. What have you learned, and what light can you shine arising out of this? And you shared 3 things. You want to give that over to?
Sure. And first, when you asked me to do an article, I was glad, but then afterward you said, "Oh, we should also do an interview over the internet." And I mean, if you think about it, it's very easy to write about, "Oh, I'm working on my speech. I'm so much improved now." But how easy is that if you can't show anyone you're actually working on it? So, Shimona, can you tell everyone and be extremely honest? I'm highly aware of how severe I am. Can you just explain to everyone? Because even for me, I'm speaking pretty smoothly right now, so it's hard to even comprehend.
Remember.
It was severe. So
Yeah. I will. I'll totally. Well, I've known Shalom folks since a little kid. I mean, I don't remember how little, maybe 5 or something. It's a long time. So ever since I have known Shalom, it's been sometimes impossible and sometimes excruciatingly difficult for him to communicate what was on the inside. And just being in his presence, the light of his soul is so great, and his energy is deep and peaceful. So I just wanted to be around you, Shirley. There was a sense of peace, and with that came this enormous struggle of just seeing the soul was like in exile. And Shalom began to develop different coping mechanisms for the challenges he had with his speech. And so he would, rock sometimes, and then his face would crunch up, and the eyes and the Twitter and the shoulders, and
this.
Like that, right? That was the face. And then,
sure.
And then, sitting here having the conversation with you, it's just okay. Gotta wait and see how that's gonna come through. How you're gonna move through it. And I used to love when you sang. I mean, I know you thought I was doing it just to be nice to you and give you a way to participate at the table, but I love it when you sing.
No. I mean, I do have a pretty good voice,
right?
Yeah,
and a great soul, so it comes through with that. But yeah, it was really intense. Shalom's stutter is pretty severe,
right.
And hearing you speak now is a gift. So,
right. So you wanted me to speak about the 3 things which I have learned that throughout my years has, even though it's been such a hard time, it's also helped me gain a very interesting perspective on life that the average person who is fluent would not be able to see without this specific challenge.
Right.
So do you want me to say all of them at once, or do you want me to just
tell me about the first one.
Say one in particular?
The first one you said is, I'll lead into them. You said listening, learning how to listen. And, we have a saying in the method,
right.
The conversation begins in silence. I'm not talking then about just keeping your mouth quiet, your mouth closed. To listen is an art that has to do with getting the ego aside, just putting that aside and being in a place of listening. So I'm interested in how it's taught you to listen and what you've learned about other people listening to you.
Right. So it's acting up a bit. I hope you can hear everything I'm saying.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So, as you said before, I even eating a meal, a Shabbos meal at your house, it would be very hard for me. So I would just have a lot of meals where I just would not speak and just have everyone speak, and I'm just hearing everything, but not saying or even adding in anything, because it would just take too much effort to say a few words, and it's not even worth it. I mean, you could argue I have a voice and you should say whatever you have, which I've not allowed it to stop me in many ways, but at times I could just be someone who listens very well. And a very interesting thing I've learned is that if I'm speaking with someone, I'm almost an expert at allowing them to speak, and I just ask them a few short things that get them to speak, and I've got them to speak about themselves. Everyone loves to speak about themselves. So I'll be like, oh, so how's your day? And they would go on a rampage. And afterwards, I'd say, oh, so tell me a bit about your upbringing or something like that, but all to avoid, oh, so Sean, you tell me
about you.
About yourself. And it was just so hard that, so I'm so good. I mean, I'll say I'm good because I'm not great at other things. So that has taught me a very important thing.
Yeah. I think that being with you, you've taught me to listen.
Sure. And
slow down and wait for a person to emerge.
Right. And it could be hard and tempting to almost interrupt me and help me out by finishing off my words. So like, for example, if I'm saying, oh, have you had a nice, and I'm having a hard time saying the day. So, and I'm saying day. So you'll just say, oh, have a nice, and then you say day, and you're helping me out. But in the short term, you might be helping me out, but that's not so helpful. And I've been like almost scarred into thinking that everyone interrupts, and that causes a bad cycle. But I've continued to work on just the more I have confidence and the more I have flow in my voice, the less tempting it is to interrupt me and to say that I should and have to say.
Right. Look, to me, the lesson as the other person, not you, just the person you're engaging with, what I would share with people on that point is really don't try and save someone. Just let them be. Often, I think we're trying to save ourselves from our own discomfort when we take someone else out of their discomfort. And when I was in conversation with you, in times when it was really difficult, there was that temptation just to save you. And I asked myself that question: how much do you want to save yourself, Shimona? Just let Shalom work through. And I think that being with someone where they're at allows them to ease out of it more easily.
Right.
Okay, Sholly, number 2 you said was resilience, right? That the stutter has taught you resilience. Can you tell us more about that?
Right. So I'll say one short episode that kind of illustrates this point to a great degree. So I was at a hotel helping out for a high holidays service, and a man, he comes up to me and introduces himself, and he asked me my name, and he was expecting, I just say my name, but I happen to have a hard time, even more than other times, and I was saying my shalom, and it took very long, and he's a man, he had no idea what was happening, so he's like, and we started speaking. He's like, Shalom, do you have autism? I'm like, no, I don't have autism. Did you have Tourette's? I'm like, no. And I couldn't even say, oh no, I just have emotionally involved. I couldn't even get a word out. So he's like, and he was naming all these things. And then I afterwards I explained, no, I have a speech problem. And so now this happened about 8 months ago. So you would imagine after that episode, I would stay very far away from this guy who's like thinking I have all these issues. But no, him and I speak every week, and I speak with him for at least a half hour each Friday. And he's been just so amazed by like how far I've come. He feels, first of all, he hears how much I'm working on it, and and like he's becoming more and more religious, and I tell him all about that week's Parsha, and like I've developed a strong and real connection with him, and that only came about through the fact that I didn't just say, my name is, and just said it smoothly. I had a hard time, and then that developed. And small world, him and I actually share cousins. So
really? How long have you known him for?
I met Stan this past Rosh Hashanah, so it would be 6 or 7 months now.
Okay, last point that you shared was bringing out the best in others. Tell us about that.
So what I have experienced over and over is that someone who knows me and knows that I'm speaking, I have almost trained them, whether they like it or not, that I'm speaking now. I have what to say, even if you think it's very unpleasant to hear me speaking like this. You will wait. I have a voice just like you, and you have to wait. And like I have an older brother. See, I just had a hard time with that word. I had to go back and correct it. So, sorry, the strong noise coming in. So I have an older brother that he's obviously been so helpful with my speech problem, and he's learned so much. And he was in the airport one time, and he was speaking to some man and who was having a very hard time speaking. And he connected with him so well. He's like, I know exactly what is happening. And like he connected with him. He's like, I know how to help you. I know
his world was expanded.
Right. So I'm sure everyone who I speak to, and I happen to speak to a lot of people, and everyone knows who I am, even though if you ask me my name, it'll take a long time. I don't know how that paradox works, but it does. So everyone who knows me knows that someone who has a hard time speaking is all right. He's just like everyone else, and you just have to be a bit patient, and they go ahead and gain insight on when they converse with someone else who has this issue or other issues you can connect it with, and it helps them learn to not handle, but to communicate in a more real way with others.
You're right. And I guess that deep communication is what we're all looking for. You know, something came to my mind, and I'll close with this. The word for desert in Hebrew is midbar, and the word for a human being is medaber, and to speak is ledaber, midbar and medaber. And you know, I think that it's through speech, accurate description of our challenges that we navigate the desert of our own beings, of our own lives. And it is through the desert that we learn to speak. With speech, we navigate the desert, and because of those deserts, we become speakers, which at some level is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're saying that you have helped other people become their best,
right,
because of your own growth opportunity.
And like you're saying, and as I wrote at the end of that article, that each of us has something that makes us unique and not like everyone else. And obviously everyone has something to add and to teach others. And that happens to be something that I'm working on a lot, is being unique in other ways besides for the fact that I continue to speak even if I have hardships. But so what I want to impart or to challenge everyone who's hearing this is that they each have something that makes them special and unique, even if it's some weirdness or some quirkiness, and that you're able to use in a good way to help others and to share and to add in the world. That is what is so special, that connects everyone, is that no one else has.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you, Shalom.
Sure.
Pleasure and a privilege.
Here also.
Lead with the lights of your soul.
Amen.
Bring us all to rectified speech.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.